And today we have even more brand spanking new Destiny 2 news. Bungie just dropped a new article separate from the TWID revealing their content calendar, detailing a bunch of the changes that are arriving in Destiny 2 over the coming months, including some massive vault improvements. 300 more vault spaces. And so, let's get started. So, Bungie begins with, in September, we shared a live stream outlining our plans between Ash and Iron and the launch of Destiny 2 Renegades, including plans for upcoming features and a roadmap for what's ahead. Since then, we've implemented many changes based on player feedback from the Edge of Fate and leading into Renegades. As we continue to act on your feedback, we're taking additional time to craft our long-term strategy for the future of Destiny before we share a full state of the game and multi-year roadmap next year. So, they continue. In the short term, we wanted to provide a preview of the changes coming to Destiny 2 with Renegades and update 9.5.0.1 that goes live the week after launch. The team has been focused on continuing to make improvements to power and progression, quality of life updates, and the start of a new weekly ritual alongside brand new activities and systems with Renegades. So, keep that all in mind. We're going to be looking at a content calendar. It's going to tell us a lot of the things coming, like in Renegades and beyond, but this is not the full roadmap. And Bungie actually refers to a multi-year roadmap. That's something like what we got with the upcoming expansions when Beyond Light came out, where we had like the Witch Queen is leading into Lightfall, which is leading into the final shape, like a multi-year track of what is coming and the future of Destiny. It seems like that is what we're going to get eventually. They say next year. Obviously 2026 is fast approaching, so you're not literally gonna have to wait a year, but just keep all that in mind, guys. So here is the content calendar. So you can see where we've been with the Edge of Fate, the different improvements that we've gotten to the game. Certainly, like the October update vastly increased how fast you level up now that bonus engrams are powerful and all that stuff. Here's the interesting part, where we are going. So Renegades launch on December 2nd, so 9.5.0 comes out. We get the Renegade campaign, we get the Lawless Frontier activity, we get an exotic mission. The new dungeon, Equilibrium, is going to launch actually December 13th. Bungie just revealed that in the earlier TWID. By the way, if you haven't seen all the information from this week's TWID, this week's TWAB, check out my video on that linked right up above. In addition, we have new weapon blasters. Yes, all new type or archetype of weapon with unique like overheat mechanics, all that stuff. A new exotic Praxic Blade, that's the lightsaber. Seasonal power carries over, so whatever power you are, you're going to be that power in Renegades. All exotic weapons and armor featured. No more featured exotics. Every exotic now counts as featured. The Edge of Fate featured gear continues, so your Mint Retrograde will still count as a featured weapon in Renegades, for example. Vault space increase plus 300 actually based. I mean, straight up awesome. I thought it was going to be much lower, if any, vault space improvement, but 300 extra spaces is awesome. Vault space sorting improvements. We're going to look at that in a sec. It's actually crazy. Universal exotic armor ornaments. Returning player bonus and rewards, 300 power catch-up. Then, new portal activity additions. New solo ops, there's Fireteam Ops, Return of Sunless Cell, introducing Arena Ops, 6-player activity. So you have, alongside Pinnacle Ops, Fireteam Ops, you now have a new node, Arena Ops, which is all the 6-player stuff. Pinnacle Ops, Return of Vox Obscura, and Derealize, and more. There's Portal Rewards and Cosmetic Refresh. So, for weapons and armor, Solo / Fireteam / Arena Ops, Crucible Ops, Pinnacle Ops, Trials of Osiris. So that means new weapons, new armor, dropping like in the portal. If you're doing Fireteam Ops, you're going to be getting new rewards. If you're doing Pinnacle Ops, you're getting new stuff, not just the Bushido set, you know, not just that stuff. Hopefully, I mean, I don't know about hopefully you can still get the old stuff. I still want my mint retrograde, honestly. But regardless, all that stuff is being refreshed. And there's the orders system, which is essentially, Bungie revealed this in a previous TWID, it's like a new bounty system that's just going to be popping off automatically. You don't need to go to a vendor to pick up bounties. It's just going to like cater bounties, spawn random bounties based on what you're using. So if you already are using, let's say, a solar subclass, you're going to have bounties to get like solar kills or kills with Scorch or whatever, for example. And so you're going to have common, legendary, and even exotic orders that randomly appear to work towards gaining more experience. Then with update 9.5.0.1, this is the week after. This is, I think so, the second week of Renegades. So, weekly rituals Vanguard alerts. This is what Bungie revealed in the earlier TWID today. So you have the Vanguard alert playlist, Grandmaster Vanguard alert, Crucible, and Arena Ops. So again, these are like things that will rotate weekly. Bungie's kind of essentially bringing back Grandmaster Nightfalls. You have something that's featured as like a special Grandmaster Vanguard alert. We learned a bit about that. There's going to be, it sounded like you're going to get weapons from these Vanguard alerts that have a unique origin trait that you can only get from Vanguard alerts, or maybe the Grandmaster version. They weren't too clear on that. But we also have continued weekly modifiers and events. So Sword Week returns, Foundry Weapon sponsorship, Tex Mechanica, The Dawning, we have Arms Week bows, we have Iron Banner, Heavy Metal, a mid-season call to arms, surges, rewards, boosts, and more. So a lot of that stuff is just like, you know, the continuation of like, there's always something to do. Now, in fairness, Bungie has kind of been keeping that up. There's certainly been less dead weeks in terms of like, is Arms Week, and there's like all these different events that are popping off. And sometimes I especially think of the modifier, that the portal modifier that doubled your damage on like special weapons, that made a lot of content easier for that week. But again, are people really vibing with the portal? So it doesn't matter if you continue something people hate. But regardless, guys, this is the content calendar. Let's take now a look at a lot of those things in more specific detail. So they say, as we prepare for Destiny 2 Update 9.5.0 in December, we'd like to take a moment to reflect on some learnings from Destiny 2 Update 9.0.0, aka the Edge of Fate. So they said, starting with the Edge of Fate, we presented a different vision for the future of Destiny 2's core game. One intended to refocus our releases and player call to action on a familiar but deeper pursuit of power and ascending to higher tiers of gear across a wider range of activities supporting customization, challenge, and commensurate rewards. Very quickly, the feedback made it clear that this was the wrong path for Destiny. Even if our execution had been perfect, and we plainly see that it was not, it is clear that grinding power will never be a substitute for earning a trophy. Climbing through throwaway tiers en route to the gear you want to build around isn't aspirational based. And the portal itself surrenders too much of Destiny's feeling of place and exploration based. These lessons, and many others beside them, have been taken to heart by our team over the last 3 months. From 9.000 through 9.1.5, our focus across the entire team has been responding to player feedback, starting with the fastest changes and working through the more challenging ones. Our focus was on faster, better rewards, more player agency in activity choice, and removing barriers to playing with friends. So, going into Renegades, a focus on quality of life and rewards. So, with the December 2nd and December 9th releases or updates, we have continued to apply lessons learned to Renegades and the core game. Some of these changes address longer-term feedback items, while others are continued iteration on feedback items from the Edge of Fate. So, wider access to power progression, especially in expansion content. Players will be able to reach the power cap directly through Renegades activities if they wish. Guys, this is unironically huge. I think people really underestimate how big of a downfall that was with Edge of Fate. Think about it, guys. You played the Edge of Fate campaign and then dipped. Like, unless you did some mythic content, which didn't advance your level at all, you really didn't have a reason to return to Kepler. You just went to the portal and then grinded like 300, 400 power levels in the portal. No wonder everyone got burnt out and hated it so fast. Again, that's not even saying like that's the reason why people hated it. It just made people hate it even more than they otherwise would have, right? So actually being able to just grind the new content, that's going to make a big difference in Renegades, in my opinion. Seasonal power and featured gear carrying across seasons. All exotic weapons and armor are featured. Additionally, removing the power catch-up from a chest needing manual pickup to organic drops. Sign in, play Renegades, catapult to 300 power and play with your friends. Vault capacity and upgrades to ease collection pressure. We have increased vault capacity by an additional 300 slots to 1,000, and we're working on more. Let's go, dude. Collectors stay winning, bro. Dado in shambles right now. In addition, the vault now has a revamped filtering system to help find what you're looking for faster. So we have an example screenshot right here, 451 out of 1,000 items. And if we zoom in to the left side, you can see 4 different symbols. The one selected right now is all items. The one next to it of the sword is weapons likely. Next to that is armor likely. And then finally you have a ghost symbol, which is probably just miscellaneous. So already being able to go, I just want weapons, I just want armor, and then apply additional filters and then apply a sort by feature, that's going to make things way easier to find. We have the different pages, so you can like skip ahead to a page instantly if you want, on PC at least, where you can mouse over it, I would imagine. And they also have another screenshot here. Examples of sorting features include tiers, slots, and power. So you can see like date added, rarity, power, tier, slot. And this is, I think, really going to be awesome. I mean, like, just filtering instantly on like legendary armor. I want to see my tier 5 legendary armor so I can see if I, already have this god roll, if I already have rolled into this tertiary stat. If I have a good piece of grenadier in this armor set, I can like instantly find it in my vault. Stuff like that, that's really going to be helpful. Then universal exotic armor ornaments. We're opening up the fashion game. Players may now apply any owned exotic armor ornament of the same class and slot to their exotic armors in PvE activities. Note, armors will continue to show their base aesthetic in PvP to avoid confusion in combat. That makes a lot of sense. So here's an example screenshot. So with the Aeon Swift exotic armor cosmetic screen, you can pick literally any hunter gauntlet exotic ornament you want. Again, this really opens up like the fashion for practical fashion. Obviously, if you're just taking screenshots for Twitter, you can take off the exotic. But if you're actually running a build, for example, you're running the Warlock Controverse Hold build, well, you're kind of limited to what the Controverse Hold has. Now you can select whatever. And so, yeah, fashion enjoyers are probably going to like this one. And you can see here, the Aeon Swift is using an ornament from the Renewal grasps in this screenshot. Now, they also say there's numerous Sandbox buffs to existing exotics and legendary archetypes. Weapons, armor, and more are getting a pass to give you a reason to pull out old favorites or build craft new ones. They actually released an article a couple days ago. I covered it in a huge video yesterday. Check that out. It's linked right up above. We have some like massive buffs to the Still Hunt, for example, is getting a 40% damage buff if you're using the Celestial Nighthawk, and some nerfs. Mint Retrogade's getting nerfed, hate to say it. Definitely check out that video. They're reintroducing weekly objectives to support weekly rituals. So Vanguard alerts, again, we already talked about that in the TWID. Arena Ops bringing 6-player activities such as Catch Crash, for larger fire team fun. And we have some images here of what the Vanguard alerts are going to look like. And then we have an example of Vanguard orders. So that is, again, something we talked about in a previous TWID. This is like your Vanguard orders screen where you're getting these different bounties. They auto-apply. You don't need to pick them up. It's all done in the seasonal hub. So it's just going to be really easy to kind of go through these, get extra rewards for playing. And then we have a quick example of Arena Ops. Obviously, they're going to be adding more 6-player activities, but you can see like Catch Crash, Astro Alignment, Nightmare Containment, and I mean, the 6-player activities can definitely be fun. I would, prefer if these had their own like loot source. Like if you want to really draw people to Arena Ops, make sure that you have an Arena Ops pool, just like how there's a Pinnacle Ops pool. But it is what it is. You can actually see an example of looks like a new fusion rifle, like almost like a Soros style fusion rifle is one of the weapons they kind of accidentally reveal here in this screenshot. They also say new legendary weapons and armor sets to earn across the portal, alongside new looks to earn in Renegade content. We're also adding multiple themed sets to expand on your cosmetic chase. So, upcoming events. For the next few months, we also have a full calendar of weekly events and modifiers to keep gameplay going within Destiny 2. So, The Dawning is coming back in December. Based on feedback, we are returning to a 3-week duration for larger seasonal events. All right, sick. So, Bungie got a lot of criticism when Festival of the Lost came out and it was only 2 weeks. People were like, why? So yeah, back to 3 weeks, baby. That is good. Arms Week is coming in January. They say our next Arms Week focus is going to be bows, complete with new limited time weapon mods. Guardian Games is coming in March. The return to yearly class competition. Call to Arms mid-season April. They say we're already in the midst of planning a mid-season event with Renegades. All right. Iron Banner, TBD. Hopefully we get actually more brand new Iron Banner weapons this time. Last time was kind of a disaster. Heavy Metal, Tanks versus Briggs round 3 with new loot and holofoils to chase. Kind of a fun game mode, but I feel like Heavy Metal kind of overstays its welcome. The game mode, I hope if they add a new map, that would really kind of spice things up, honestly. Sprinkled throughout these months, will be general portal modifiers like Weapon Foundry sponsorships to juice some gear in your arsenal, or heavy surges to increase your time with rockets and machine guns. Note, some time frames may be subject to change. Keep an eye out for future TWIDs and announcements. And they end here with Eyes Up Guardians. So they say, since Destiny launched over 10 years ago, it has always been a living, reactive world. Through our successes and failures, we are grateful for the opportunities to explore different paths, learn from them, and with that clarity, build an inspiring new vision with and for our players. As we work on our plans and communications to address your feedback, thank you for being on this journey with us as we reshape our strategy for the long-term future of the Destiny franchise. Well, I'm glad they're talking about the long-term future of the Destiny franchise because things have certainly been looking bleak. Now, is this content calendar going to be fixing everything? No. Is the solution just to remove the portal entirely? There's a universe where the answer is yes. And there's a lot of people who would say yes. And so promising all these different portal modifiers if you hate the portal, that's not going to do anything. But, I mean, I'm going to get called a shill for saying this, but at least it does seem like Bungie is genuinely trying, and it's good to say, like, we messed up. And I really like the line where they said, even if we had done things perfectly, this is not the path. And that is kind of an admission that, like, the portal was not the best play, that the new leveling system was not the best play. It would not be good if they were like, oh, we missed the mark, we should have had... No, they're saying, like, even if we had done everything right, players still wouldn't have liked that. Clearly they learned the right lesson. That is like the thing that, I know a lot of people were worried about, that they still think the portal was the best idea ever. Clearly they're not saying that. So they certainly seem to be trying to improve things. I really wonder if it is just going to be like, hey, they redid the entire core game with Edge of Fate. they might be redoing the entire core game loop the next expansion after Renegades 2. But you know, it just might be something like that. In the meantime, some good changes certainly. I'm really excited for the vault space stuff. A lot of these changes in the Edge of Fate have really overwhelmed many people's vaults, especially like the armor. Every single armor piece is essentially a god roll. Every single armor piece is a spiky drop. So you're just shoving all that into your vault. So the 300 more spaces plus the sorting features really going to be helpful. Guys, that is it for the video. Let me know what you guys think. You know, is this enough? Is this a good start? Is this not enough at all? Again, I'm curious to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Like I said, that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.